Hi, Gay DeRusso with Majestic Rider. So today I wanted to talk to you about breastplates because I did that post and then a lot of people had a questions. So a breastplate or a breast collar goes on this part of your horse here. This is more of a plate. A collar usually comes up more like this. The purpose of it is to hold your saddle so if you're pulling something or you're going up hills, your saddle doesn't slide back. Now you'll see many different kinds, and so I'm going to explain them a little bit and how they fit. So this one just goes across the chest area. It doesn't go between his legs at all. So as I fit it up on his chest, I'm going to make sure I can get a fist in there, but I don't want to be able to fit two fists because that would be too big and wouldn't do that much, and it would be hanging down here. You're trying to make sure these areas are snug enough but not so loose that they're just flopping around. So this one's pretty good, but this one could be just a little bit tighter here, so I would shorten it up a hole on each side. Now when you attach it, there's different rings on your saddle. So there's D-rings like this, and then there's rings up here too. If the D-ring on your saddle is too low, and so your plate keeps hanging down like this, you can still hook it to that lower ring, but then you get a strap. It's called a wither strap, and it goes across here, and it hooks to this ring here, and it hooks to that ring on the side. And you can get those off of Amazon or pretty much anywhere. But that will help to pull this up a little bit higher, okay? So again, you want this snug, kind of to fit like a bra, but not so much they can't breathe, and not so much like not too high that it's on their trachea or they can't breathe. So we're going to show you the front of it. Mr. Nichols is being a good model here. So you can see it's here, but we don't want to press in too much here. We don't want it up on his windpipe here. So that looks like a pretty good fit. Now there's different widths of these also. And so if it's thicker, in other words, it's wider, it's going to disperse the pull across his body a little bit more. So if you're doing things like roping or steer or something like that, or you're a really big heavy person, then you might want a thicker one that disperses the pull. So this one's a little bit thicker. It's also scalloped. And this is a 3-point attachment. So I'm going to hook it on the top. And then we'll hook it in the middle down here. So you got to find your girth ring. And then once you get your girth adjusted, you're trying to make sure this is in the middle of his legs and not off to the side too much, because if it's off to the side, then it could rub his legs. So 3-point attachment to above his shoulder blade. We want to make sure we can get a fist up here, and we want to make sure we can get a fist up here, but that it's staying up snug, okay? And it's not so high it's up on his trachea, but not so low it's pushing down here too much. So this one's not bad. Since I'm putting different ones on, I'm not just going to adjust all of them. But this one could be up just a little bit higher. You could use a wither strap to put this up, or I could make this just a little bit tighter. Now you want it tighter, but still to make sure your fist can fit up in there. So again, you want it above their shoulder blade. Especially with gaited horses, they use their shoulders a lot, so you don't want to impede their shoulders at all. Now, some of them have a protection here, and some of them just have the ring. Sometimes the ring or the protection will rub on your horse, so you always check that each time. And I have different kinds of breastplates, because that way if one rubs, I can switch to a different one. So this is pretty good. Again, I would make it just a tiny bit higher, so it was more like that, and that's about it. So again, you want to make sure you can fit a fist in here, a fist in here, and a fist in here. You don't want it hanging way down that it's by their knees, because then they can catch it with their legs, okay? So you want it snug enough that it's not going to catch, but not so tight they can't move their legs around in here. So always make sure you can fit about a fist in there. So now we're going to go to another one. So again, this one was a little wider, but you'll see ones that are like this wide. There's ones with rope. There's all different things in here. And again, you're also checking on your equipment, like if it has studs or something like this, because it has a design, to make sure that that's not rubbing your horse at all. And always make sure if you have a strap in between their legs that it ends up in the middle of their legs. So every time you check that girth, or you tighten that girth, you want to make sure you've got that breastplate in the middle, or you might have to tighten the girth more on the other side. Again, breastplates are helpful, but if you're not pulling anything in the arena and you're not doing any hills, you might not even need one if your saddle fits pretty well. Now, some of the walking horses have that big long stride, and if you don't have a breastplate on them, the saddle will tend to slide back because the shoulders pushes it back. So then that one is, you might have to wear it all the time. All right, so we got another 3.1 here. This one's thinner. It's dirty. So for him, it looks like it's high enough, but look how much I can get in there. I can get like 2 fists. So this one's too loose, so we're going to tighten it up. Now, as I tighten it up, I can get just a fist in here. But up in here, I can't get a whole fist. So I think that's a little too tight, and it's a little too high on him where it is here. So I'm going to put it back down some. Fist. All right, so I'm going to show you this one from the front. Sorry, buddy. So again, it's in a decent position. Again, I could make it a little bit higher if I put a wither strap on it. And then I'm going to show you the center of it. So again, should be in the center of his legs, but with him, you can see that it's more on the left-hand side. So I would need to tighten the girth more over here to help get that in the center. Because again, anything that's off to the side or pointy is going to rub your horse. Okay, so that's more in the center, so that's pretty good. Now let me straighten him out because it looks cockeyed. Okay, so that's more in the center. Now I can get a fist in here, but look, I can get 2 fists. So what I would do with this one is shorten it up a hole or 2. So it's a little bit more snug and I can only get 1 fist in. So I'd make it a little bit more like that. Okay? So with these breastplates, again, there's a purpose for them. But if you don't hook them up correctly, and it's too tight, it's going to impede your horse. But if it's too loose, it's not going to do anything at all, and there's no point putting it on because your horse might catch a leg here. Okay, so I found one with the wither strap. So I'm going to hook it around his neck. Then you'll see the breastplate attachments are here. This is going to hook in the center. Okay, so you'll see with this one, it's up above his shoulder. I can fit a fist in, but I can probably fit 2 here. So with this one, I would make it shorter for him. In the front, it looks pretty good. It's not so high. It's cutting off his wind, but it could be a little bit higher. So if I shorten that up, that would be good. And then in the center, he's got a little bit too much room, so I'd shorten up that too. On the top with the wither strap, when you put that on, that's also a fist. So anytime you're unsure, just put a fist in there. If I could pull it way up here, that would be too long. So I'm going to show you this from the front. So we're hooked in the center pretty good, but again, I would make it all just a little bit higher, and that way it would make this tighter too, so it didn't hang down as much. So remember, if you're unsure, use the fist rule. You want to be able to get your fist in there, but not more, and you don't want it to be too much less than your fist. Okay? All right, so that should help you with fitting your breastplate. Again, there's many different ones. Some people like these because it holds it up more, but sometimes this also rubs your horse's mane, so you just have to see. Now, if I didn't have that wither strap on, see how low it hangs this? So it's a big difference when this is on and when this is off. Now, you might see some more that are collar ones like this. And if you get those, check with the seller, or if you have a saddle fitter, make sure they show you how to put it on. Because some of those collar ones, if it's actually for really hard pulling, will actually attach back here. So if it's up here, it'll be too loose. And you're like, why isn't this working? It might have to attach back behind here. So just check with the seller or the fitter so you make sure. But again, if you're going to put a breastplate on, you want it to work. You don't want it just for decoration. All right, hope that helps you fit in your breastplate, making your horses more comfortable and happy.